What is up, everybody? Sysadmin Sean here, and today we are getting into day 2 of the Linux Upskill Challenge. So, day 1 was getting to know the server, learning some basic commands about the hardware involved, how to get logged into the server, just some simple stuff there. Day 2 is basic navigation, and like I said, there's a video series that's already been built for this. I'm just kind of building one and giving my thoughts on the commands and how I do things, and what you might see that is different in the environment of your choice. So the tasks for day 2 were to find the documentation for the commands we used so far. So find documentation for lscpu or netstat or ifconfig, things like that. And then secondly, navigate between directories, then create, list, move, and delete files. Easy. So we're starting off with RTFM, which you know what that stands for. But where is the manual for Linux, right? So it's wonderfully actually built in for quite a lot of the system. So let's say we wanted to learn something about the commands we did yesterday. So let's do man lscpu. Let's see if we get anything. I bet we will or won't. There we go, we will. So lscpu displays information about CPU architecture, and this is going to give through a bunch of information about different options you can dump to it to find out, what's kind of going on. More information about the lscpu command, basically. And that's pretty cool. So let's go through some of the instructions. So man cp. Cp is the copy command. We'll be using that today. Man mv, that's the move command. We'll be using that today. Man grep. Grep lets you kind of search for patterns in files. I'll give you a quick example. I do it backwards, but for instance, let's do cat etsy password grep tiger mask. And there it is. There's a line in there for me using grep. Now you can do, I think you could just do grep etsy password and then -i tiger mask. Let's see. Or maybe I can do it like this. I really don't know how to use it that way. So let's learn. Man grep. So grep option patterns. So that gives us kind of a basic idea. What are patterns? Here's information. What are the options that are available? There's quite a few, to be perfectly honest. So can we do grep tiger mask etsy password? There we go. So that's how it works in modern usage. Man ls. So this is the list directories contents, which we've gone through a little bit yesterday. And then man, the manual for the manual system within Linux, which is really cool. No difference here. Ubuntu, Red Hat, every distro pretty much uses this. They mention a really cool command called tldr. So let's grab that real quick and install tldr. And this reads that it's kind of like a quick and dirty version, which, too long didn't read. Makes sense. TLDR, PWD. Wow, TLDR create directory does not exist. Interesting. They don't even cover that. TLDR CP. So it didn't make the TLDR file for me. I wonder why. Did we actually install TLDR? Let's see if we TLDR. So it's there. TLDR, simplified community-driven man pages. TLDR update. Dash update. Does not exist. No such file directory. Well, yeah. So it says there's no .local.share.tldr. That's kind of weird. So let's check something real quick. Why did we run into this issue? TLDR-A. Is it going to throw us the same thing? So we pulled version 0.9.2 from sudo apt. So it's the version they've got. But we need to tell it where to put that stuff. because in our version, it's just not going to do it. TLDR P Linux, obviously. Valid values include Linux, OS X, Windows, and Sonos. But I did -P and it just says missing command. Fine, we'll do this real quick. So we're gonna go ahead a little bit more. mkdir local. Actually, we're gonna do -P. Local share TLDR. That's not a folder, is it? Let's see what happens. No TLDR. Oh, yeah. Then we got to tell it to update. So now it's putting the TLDR pages in our home directory. Essentially, when it got installed, it did not have the .local it was expecting. So now, there we go. Nice, simple, and it works. I'm not sure why that software package didn't add that, but now you know how to get it to work in your environment if you need to. And then it looks like there is also apropos or man-k. So let's do, if you're wanting to search for like a phrase. So let's do working directory. So it's going to tell us that's for PWD. It's going to reference PWD. As you can see, change working directory, fetch working directory, get current working directory, get CWD. I use PWD for print name of current working directory. Pretty simple. Man-k will do the same thing. Ta-da! If I typed it right. So un-ta-da. Ta-da. But soon you'll find that not every command has a manual, which is true, especially if it's something that someone built. So if we do, according to this, man, export, no such thing. But if we do help export, we'll get information about the export command. Export lets you set an attribute for yourself. So it's kind of like export. Oh goodness, I forget. Blah equals yay. Something like that. But we'll worry about that later. And then the best way to know if a command is a built-in command is to check its type. So you can do type export. Export is a shell built-in. So there you go. And that's a really good one to know too, because export lets you modify variables and set values to them. So you could, export variables and use them for other things. And then lastly, info reads documentation stored in info format. So they're going to have you go over the hierarchy of the Linux system in the next step, man, HIER. So here's the hierarchy with a nice little list of every folder. Slash is root, bin is where executables live, sbin also has executables. Boot is the bootloader, dev is for devices. Etsy contains configuration files. Etsy op contains host specific configuration. Etsy SGML contains configuration files for SGML. I don't know what SGML is. Etsy scale, that runs when a new account is created. So you can modify Etsy scale to adjust what happens to accounts when they on creation, which is kind of cool. X11 is for the window manager. XML files. Home is where the home folders are. And again, we went through lib, libraries, lost and found. Usually chunks of files due to a system crash. Media, that's usually where I mount CD-ROMs, and then like they show here, floppy 1 through 9, CD-ROM, CD recorder, zip, USB, all that wonderful stuff that everyone totally uses more, like zip drives. You can also use /mnt to mount temporary stuff. Maybe you're wanting to mount like a NFS share temporarily or something, you could put it in there. Opt is for add-on packages. Proc is the proc file system, which is information about running processes in the kernel. That is also the way that I know how to get to stuff like CPU information. Root is the home directory for the root user. Run is where PID files live. It usually goes to var run now in a lot of systems, or var run used to exist. Now it's just run. Var run is a symlink to run. sbin, like I said, that's more executables, but they're more like, they're more critical. Normal users can't get to them, like it says. And then it kind of goes through quite a lot of interesting stuff in the user section. but you can read all that. There's plenty of things in there to learn about for the hierarchy. So as we were going through earlier, the pwd command to show you where you're at. We're in our home directory right now, which is cool. Cd, change directory. So like I showed yesterday, now we're in var log. You can move up by using cd dot dot, which is cool. Or you can also just type the directory, but cd dot dot is great. Let's see, now I'm at the top level. And like I said yesterday, cd tilde, that takes you home. Yeah, you do have to be careful about relative path. So there I am in /var. But if I do cd/log there, it's going to take me in the log. But if I did cd/log, there won't be anything. It'll say error because it's thinking that you want to go to a top level version of log that doesn't exist. It's in var. ls to list files. So there they are without a lot of information. They recommend trying out ls-l-t, so split the flags, which gives you some information about the files. Again, you can do it like this. And then you can also do ls-l-t-r-a, which, let's see, what does that do? Did that organize them in any specific pattern? Let's find out. So they had us do -l, which is down here. L, use the long listing format. T is going to be down here. T is sort by time, newest first. R, which is going to be up here, is reverse order while sorting. So then oldest. And then A, probably all. Yeah, A, do not ignore entries starting with dot. So this isn't going to be very interesting because, okay, so it is starting with the oldest files, going down. So what happens if we take the R off? It puts the oldest at the bottom. Okay, which makes sense. That's exactly what it's supposed to do. And then, yeah, ls-ltra. And then they reference color-auto, but mine's already doing color-auto, so I'm all good there. And then basic directory manipulation. So let's go back to home. We're in home. Let's start with the first command. The first command is going to be make directory, mkdir blah. So there's our directory called blah. Now we can remove it if we want to by using rm dash, rmdir for blah. You can do rm-rf blah, but I don't have it anymore because I deleted it. And then you can move stuff. So let's make a directory called blah. And then let's go into that directory. Nope, mistyped it. So there's our directory. We're in blah. As you can see, it's empty. Let's make another directory. Actually, let's make a file. Touch test.txt. So touch is just a command that lets you drop a file name, essentially. Just a flag that says this is a file. And I decided to call it a text file. But we want to move it. That needs to be in blah. Or that needs to be a blov in our home directory. So if we do mv test.txt ... Remember, cd ... takes you up a level. Now that's gone. We go up a level. And there it is. It is in our home directory now, above blah. That can get really confusing too, so do be careful when you're moving files. And then we will delete blah again. And we just did the touch command, and we did the ls command, and we can delete files with just regular rm. And I think it's going to ask us. No, it won't, because it's our file. We own it. And then wrap. Being able to move confidently around the directory structure of the command line is important. It is very important. You need to be able to get everywhere. So let's say, remember we did this yesterday, and I said, hey, there's these dev mapper things. You can actually navigate to that area. And there you can see, there's that path that ties into here. And we can go into it. Oh no, that's considered a file maybe? But anyway, obviously we're in it here. I'm not super confident in my knowledge about how partitions are displayed in Linux a lot of the time. The extension is to learn about push D and pop D to navigate around multiple directories easily. Running push D varlog moves you to varlog, but keeps track of where you were. You can push D more than one directory at a time. Try it out. Push D var log. Okay. Push D dev. Well, I'll be darned. Look at that. Push D Etsy. And then what does pop D do? Wait, oh, does it drop them? Interesting. Directory stack empty. So there we go. And then, well, I'll be danged. Now, I did not know that. I knew cd tilde would take you home. I didn't know cd dash would take you to your last known directory. That's a really cool command, and I just learned it today. And that goes to show you, I've been working in Linux for over 15 years, and I had no idea that cd dash was there. But that's it. That is day 2. Thanks, and we'll see you for day 3.